everybody, this is Perch. One of the great things that we have about this channel is people can ask any kind of question they want. So I've got a pretty interesting question here. It says, "Hey Perch, just a quick question: is Dan Slott a virgin? What do you think?" Okay, we're going to go to a different viewer mail. That's not the crux of this video. Can you imagine though making 10 minutes on that topic? The answer is no. I do not think he's a virgin, but quite frankly, it's none of my business anyway. He could be whatever he wants. I don't know. But no, I don't think so. But again, just I don't even really want to think about that. Like I don't want to do anything. Anyway, okay, so let's get to a different question here. And I did a video about Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power. And here's not the opposite side of that, but looking at it from a different view. And it kind of feeds into the earlier video I did. And the too long didn't listen summary of that video was, Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power is actually a fairly benign fantasy show, in my opinion, having watched it. But what isn't benign is a lot of the commentary around the show from the people involved in the show, meaning the writers, producers, etc., who seem determined to make the focus of the show about the fan reaction and about a bunch of things that have nothing to do in the show. And it's perplexing to me because it's unnecessary. That was kind of and I don't get, and if they hadn't made a lot of those comments, I bet a lot of the anger and the frustration wouldn't be there. But here's the viewer's question. The viewer's question says, "Hey Perch, so the Rings of Power is dropped, and we're in a typical, predictable cycle of people trying to Thanos snap away all the criticism as being nothing more than bitter fanboys and racist sexists. And this has included a tired old expression people always use when big projects get criticized: if you have nothing nice to say nothing at all." I always hate that because it's like, no, you set up social media, you set up feedback, you asked for feedback, people gave you feedback, you're like, no, I only wanted good feedback. That's not how that works. You take with the good, the bad. Do you see me going nuts and angrily responding every time somebody on a video goes, "No, Perch, you are wrong"? Like, no. No, does it sometimes sound douchey the way people write it? Yes, but they're welcome to their opinion. And if I didn't want those kinds of comments, I'd turn comments off because, and then I'd be a pussy. So anyway, sorry, we go back. "I want to strike a blow for all fandoms and say that is bullshit." Okay, I'm back to the mail, by the way. "The idea that the critical response to all media can be niceness or nothing is bullshit. And speaking as somebody who enjoyed both Batman vs. Superman and Wonder Woman 84, you are out of your mind, sir. Nobody spoke up for either to say this. Nobody came out and said, 'Oh, well, I didn't love Batman vs. Superman, but if you have nothing nice to say, maybe don't say anything.' And that's fine. I'm a grown-up. I can handle stuff I like bombing. But what does bother me is seeing some of the same people who relentlessly mock those movies now basically say, 'Leave Rings of Power alone, you just sound bitter.' And we see the exact same crap pulled in comics. Well, listen, I don't like Tom King Vita, but maybe you have nothing to say, just don't talk about their comics." By the way, some people have misrepresented my position because I've said something slightly similar to this. The thing I have said is, if you hate these comics and you know you hate them, meaning they cause you pain, aggravation, irritation, etc., don't buy them. And if you can, stop paying attention to them for the sake of your own sanity. Nobody else's. It's nobody else's business. If you make them uncomfortable by criticizing something, that's on them. It's not your problem. But I think it's good for people to protect their own mental sanity. I think that's important. But and that's a vastly different thing than saying you shouldn't say anything at all if you have nothing nice to say. I'm saying if you have nothing nice to say and you hate it, maybe do something better for you. But, and it sounds the same, it is definitely not. This is not about protecting people from your criticism. It's about protecting yourself from yourself. That's what that's all about. Anyway, I think that's an important distinction because people have misrepresented my comments there. I think, look, this is real life. People have a right to say what they're going to say. If you don't like what they're going to say, you can, same kind of comment. You can not listen, you can ignore, you can do a number of things, but you can't tell people just take anything negative and swallow it because reasons. That's stupid. So finally, we'll finish off the mail. It says, Can we all acknowledge that the "if you have nothing nice to say" standard is just the battle cry of people when they see something they like being criticized? It carries the same weight with me as people who childishly respond to "self-defense is good" with "maybe nobody should hit anyone." I haven't heard that argument, but that is stupid. Yeah, maybe nobody should hurt any. Yeah, of course, maybe nobody should hit anyone. Yeah, sounds great. Maybe nobody should. Please don't. Maybe you shouldn't hit. Maybe you shouldn't hit people. Be like pro wrestlers. Don't actually make contact. I'm just kidding. Somewhere Ric Flair is really pissed at my description of his chops. I mean, sure, but reality is a thing, and it's important to address reality and not just engage in constant wishful thinking. Some movies, shows, and comics just do suck, and it's okay to call them out. Studios and creators should know when they mess something up. Okay, I'm in agreement. That's the end of the mail, and I'm in agreement with the whole mail, except kind of the very end. And I'll explain why. I don't think it's anyone's responsibility to let studios and creators and I don't think it's your responsibility to know when they messed up. They shouldn't know. I mean, it should just be more organic than that. If you have a criticism, make your criticism. If you're a creator and you're making art, be prepared to be praised and criticized. That is reality. I don't think anybody has an obligation to speak truth to power when it comes to movie critique. I don't think that's a thing, and I don't think it needs to be a thing. But I also think so. So it's the motivations. I know these are nuances, and this is what people hate about me, and they've said this many times. Is I think the reason behind things is important. Yes, it's splitting hairs at times. I acknowledge that. It totally is. But I think we're all, in theory, right, functional human beings. We got up, we dressed ourselves, we shit in a toilet. We did regular human things of an evolved species. So therefore, I think it's good that we challenge ourselves to think things through. I think that's not a negative. But regardless, I think your point is taken. I think that criticism of a fandom, I think people put too much weight on it overall. And what I mean by that is, it doesn't have to be more than just criticism. It's just they watch something, they decided they didn't like it, they said they didn't like it. That's it. That's the entire journey. It doesn't have to be somehow heroic to give criticism. I do laugh and find it a joke when people portray that the criticism is some kind of holy duty, and that they are obligated to be critical about it. You're not. You're assigned no such task. You do not have that obligation. Nobody gave you the ring of criticism to inflict upon the world. You're not doing anyone a favor by your criticism. I mean, I don't know. Maybe if you criticize something and somebody trusts you, you save them some time. But that's kind of a weak favor. Your only responsibility is to yourself. If you don't like something, then you're not obligated to keep your mouth shut. You can say, "I don't like it," and that's it. It's no more fancy or dramatic than that. That's something. Telling people they can't say it because it's negative is stupid. Telling somebody that I have to say it or the world will come apart is stupid. People are going to like and dislike things all the time. I don't think we always have to search for reasons why people like or dislike things, because if we're honest with each other, you don't always have reasons. You're driving around and you hear a song, and it's a stupid mass-produced studio pop song, and it's a piece of shit. But for whatever reason, it hits you in the right way. The mood is good. The drive is good. I don't know. You're getting a hand job. Who knows what's going on? But for whatever reason, you have a good moment with this song, and so it creates a happy memory. You don't have to justify that. You don't have to. Maybe this is not me. I feel like I'm now telling a story about myself. I'm not. So you turned on the radio and you heard Nickelback and you enjoyed it. Does that make you a monster? No. I mean, maybe a little bit. But no, I'll go one step further, and you long-term listeners of this channel will know how serious what I'm about to say is. Say you went into that Arby's, and you got yourself the bacon cheddar, and it was just, you were a starving person, you hadn't eaten real food before, and this was your first real meal, and it was just, you sat there and you had an orgasm while you're eating this burger. It was the best time in your life, and it's a happy memory in your life. That's your business. That's on you. Now you know, I have questions, but still, it's not my taste, it's yours. You get to like it with no explanation needed. Exactly the same is if you don't like it, you also do not need to get an explanation. You know, there's somebody who would come into my shop who hated Jack Kirby, hated it, didn't like the style, it hit him wrong, and I would watch this guy take shit from other customers. How could you dare not like the King? How could you? You clearly have no taste for art. And I would intervene in some of those conversations. It's like I can say, hey, Jack Kirby, I like Jack Kirby. I think Kirby is a master at what he does. I think he's you know, a father of comic art. I think he's, you know, somebody to respect and everything else. And I don't agree with you at all when you say you don't like him, you don't think he's very talented. I don't agree with you. However, that is your call to make, and you do not need to justify why you feel that way. You don't. There's very few things in life that are like that. You know, generally, you know, especially when it comes to art and media, your taste is your taste. And so if you don't like something and you want to express it, you're free to do so, and you should. You know, just like every fucking day, Mumbles comes on here and expresses his dislike for this channel. That's your business, and I applaud you, and I support you, and I defend your right to do that. And I do think it's absolutely absurd, and I think it's a defense mechanism, and I think it comes from a very thin-skinned individual who cannot process criticism. Who can, and even worse when it's not even something they made, when it's just something they like. I am watching people, you know, fillet the new She-Hulk show and be completely incapable of people who are criticizing it. And why? Are you a Disney shareholder? Did you work on this show? Why are you defending this corporate entity like it's some kind of holy war? It doesn't make any sense. And why, you know, with Rings of Power, like I said, I find that show pretty non-controversial. It's just there. It's fine. Looks fine. I think the woke aspects of it were highly overhyped by the critics. However, I do acknowledge, and it is true, that the people involved in the show and the fans of it are pulling out every single weapon they can to say, oh, you didn't like the pace of the movie? You didn't like the score? You didn't like the sound? You didn't like the opening credits? You didn't like that opening credit animation sequence, which, in fairness, does look kind of stupid. Looks like Game of Thrones light. You spent $1 billion. You couldn't come up with a more dramatic opening credit scene to kind of get the show moving. You couldn't do that? Oh, you don't like that? Well, you're clearly a racist for not liking the opening credits. What does it have to do with race? Shut up, bigot. There is a lot of that. Why? What are you even doing? Why does it matter to you? That I don't understand. And I absolutely think that if you don't have anything nice to say nothing at all. It's the refuge of the dumb. It's people who are emotional children who cannot take criticism of something they like. And to those people, I feel sorry for you because you don't live in the real world. You are going to have to experience, particularly if you're ever a parent, people disliking things you like. It's going to happen. And if you're going to come into an unglued Twitter tantrum, every single time people vaguely mention that they don't like a She-Hulk episode you liked because the main horribly rendered CGI character was twerking with Megan Thee Stallion. Megan sings like shit is what but anyway, sorry. If you're going to come unglued, then I guess I'm glad you're on Twitter talking about how you are never going to have children. Because I don't want you to breed. I'm happy for your genetic line to end with you. Because you are not capable of survival. Anyway, thank you very much for the mail. And no thank you to the person who wanted me to contemplate if Dan Slott was a virgin. Thanks for listening.